Most interviews come and go without much attention, just a few polite comments. Some standard coach talk, and then it's on to the next game. But every so often, someone says something that hits a nerve and suddenly everyone's talking. That's exactly what happened with the Indiana Fever. When one sentence from the team president sparked major backlash, fans were furious. It made international headlines and the comment sections exploded. Things got so heated that the team president ended up deleting her social media account. But here's what most people missed. The comment that caused the outrage wasn't even the most important part. For Fever fans, the real issue in that press conference was something much bigger and more concerning. Heading into 2025, the excitement around the team was at an all-time high, with new leadership, a new coach, and what many considered the best free agency haul in years. The Fever launched their Bold Now You Know campaign, which sent a clear message to the entire league. This is our time. And of course, they had Caitlin Clark, the most talked about athlete in women's sports, coming and rested, refocused, and seemingly ready to take over. Expectations weren't just high, they were sky high. This wasn't just another rebuilding year. For the Fever, it was win now, championship or bust. The Fever started the season strong, dominating at home and looking like everything was clicking, but then reality hit hard. Caitlin Clark has missed almost half the season because of injuries. Dana Bonner, the veteran player brought in to help with team chemistry, was gone after just 9 games, and the team's performance, frustrating is putting it lightly. Some nights, they look unstoppable, beating top teams like the Liberty, Lynx, Dream, and even the Aces. Other nights, they lose to the Sparks twice when Caitlin is on the court. The strategy has been to play her off the ball, which is exactly the opposite of where she shines, a fact she's mentioned more than once. So let's sum it up. You promised a championship run, brought in veterans, hired a new coach. But halfway through the season, you're barely breaking even and taking the ball away from your star player. Fans are upset, and it's not just the coach they're blaming. They're pointing fingers at the front office, the GM, and especially Fever president Kelly Kraskow. When Kelly took over in 2024, after 6 years as assistant GM for the Pacers, there was a lot of hope. She seemed like the experienced leader fans wanted to build around Caitlin Clark, but now, with the team struggling, that hope is fading fast. Then this controversial clip surfaced and everything exploded.
Yes, we have a foundational player in Caitlin Clark and Leah Boston, and we're going to continue to add to that. But I want this team to be the leader in the country, and a brand, an enduring brand, like Apple.
This outrage came fast, and it all boiled down to one truth: Caitlin Clark isn't just a player. For the Indiana Fever, she is the Fever, and honestly, fans aren't wrong. Since Caitlin joined the league, the Fever's value has soared by 273%, now worth $335 million, making them the third most valuable team in the WNBA in 2023. Indiana averaged just over 4,000 fans per home game. Last season, that number jumped to over 17,000, a 318% increase. TV viewership on ESPN rose by 170%. But it wasn't just any games driving those numbers. Caitlin's matchups alone made up 45% of the league's total broadcast value. Teams even moved games to NBA arenas when she was playing. Merchandise sales exploded. Ticket prices climbed, and every WNBA team's value doubled or more. The entire league is now worth $3.5 billion. So when fans say Caitlin Clark is the brand, they're right. She's not just the face of the Fever. She's the heart of the whole WNBA. If Kelly Kraskow says she's building the WNBA's version of Apple, then Caitlin isn't just the iPad, she's the iPhone, MacBook Pro, and AirPods all in one. For that product to succeed, you don't keep it hidden, you give her the ball and let her create. But this season hasn't been that way. Head coach Stephanie White runs a motion-heavy system that keeps Caitlin off the ball. Even though Caitlin has said many times she plays her best when leading the offense, this isn't just about a strategy that doesn't fit. It's been frustrating for fans. Because when you ask a once-in-a-generation player like Caitlin Clark to wait for less talented teammates to carry the load, you're not just misusing her, you're watering down the entire game. The offense slows down, the energy drops, and the Fever end up looking like a team that doesn't truly get what they have. If Caitlin were being set up to succeed, this whole controversy around Kelly Kraskow's comments might never have happened. But with the team struggling to find its rhythm, hovering around a .500 record, and clearly holding back its star, those comments felt like a slap in the face. For over a year, Fans have watched as the media, rival players, and even parts of the league question Caitlyn's stardom, whether she's overhyped, if she's earned it, and if the league's growth really depends on her. So when the Fever president suggested the team was bigger than Caitlin Clark, it felt like just another leader trying to downplay her impact, and the backlash was immediate. Major outlets like Fox News, Yahoo, the Daily Mail, and the New York Post all jumped on it, but here's the kicker no one noticed. This wasn't a new press conference. It wasn't even from this season, it was from 2024, and that actually makes it worse. I watched the full thing, by the way, and honestly, at the time, with all the momentum the team had, Kelly said a lot of things that sounded pretty good. Fans were hopeful, the energy was positive, and on the Fever's own YouTube channel, the reaction was overwhelmingly supportive. Almost 1,000 comments praised her as sharp, professional, and the kind of leader the team needed. Nobody had a problem then. But now, seeing how things actually turned out, that same press conference feels very different. Hidden in all the corporate optimism was one comment far more telling than the Apple comparison. That should have every Fever fan scratching their head. Next.
I see so many similarities in Caitlyn and Tyrese, primarily because they control the tempo of the game. And we want to play almost identical to the way the Pacers are playing, or maybe they want to play like we're playing. But either way, it's, finding those right fits around a point guard like her is going to make us awfully dangerous.
What Kelly described back then was exactly what fans wanted: a fast, exciting offense with Caitlin Clark leading the way, handling the ball, creating opportunities, and setting the pace. That's Caitlin's style of basketball. And to make sure everyone got the message, Kelly even emphasized how Caitlyn's game attracts top free agents to the team.
I would think that if you are a smart basketball player and you watch the way she plays, you would want to play with her. She, much like Tyrese Halliburton, she gets you the ball in places that you didn't even know you were open.
So, the big question is, what went wrong? Because what fans were promised, a fast, free-flowing offense built around Caitlin Clark, is nothing like what we've actually seen on the court. It's frustrating fans and experts alike.
How much grace are we going to give to a coach because the coach says we're working things out for the rest of the season, we're trying to figure out our identity? Do you want to know what your identity is? You shouldn't need to figure out your identity. You have Caitlin effing Clark on your...
And it's not just the playing style that's off. It's the players themselves. Remember, Kelly didn't just promise a system built around Caitlin. She said the team would attract the right players who fit her style and wanted to play with her. But if you look at who they actually brought in, it doesn't add up. Dana Bonner, the veteran expected to bring stability, was gone after just 9 games reportedly because she didn't fit in. Natasha Howard hasn't been terrible, but she seems to struggle adjusting to Caitlyn's game. And what's she doing? Watching Caitlyn and carrying the ball up the court herself. She said she wanted to be MVP, so watching this now, you have to wonder what kind of role she was promised.
Today, the way Indiana came at me with everything they promised me and they keeping their promise, they sold me.
This is where things get really confusing. With the whole league watching and free agents reportedly interested, the president and GM Amber Cox brought in players who don't fit the system or Caitlyn's style. So what was the real plan? What kind of basketball were they actually selling to players? And why aren't we seeing the Caitlin Clark basketball that was promised for many Fever fans? This is the most worrying part. If the president says the team is building around Caitlin, then the coach they hire should reflect that vision, someone who lets Caitlin use her full skill set and creates a system made for her. But after watching Stephanie White's introductory press conference, Fever fans might feel like they've been misled yet again.
More than anything, we want to continue to be exactly what they are: a fun, fast-paced, up-tempo style of play.
So, here's the deal. Kelly promised a style like the Pacers: fast, modern, and built around Caitlin. Stephanie said they wanted to play just like they did in 2024. No wonder fans were pumped. It all sounded perfect. Everyone was saying the right things, selling a system designed to highlight Caitlin's unique talent. Even Caitlin was on board, showing strong support for her new coach and teammates. But now, you can tell she's frustrated too.
Steph has talked about kind of taking some pressure off you with Harry kind of running point and some actions and just playing off the ball. Just how do you think that will help when you reintegrate on to?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be nice probably not to have to bring the ball up against pressure 94 feet, but like I said, that's what I'm best at, so we're still going to do a lot of it.
This is what disagreement with your coach looks like in the media. Caitlin saying, "I get where you're coming from, But I need the ball, and it's not just fans noticing. There's growing concern that Stephanie White either doesn't trust Caitlin enough to let her run the offense or maybe just doesn't want to play that way at all. When you hear how Stephanie talked about Luka Doncic during a Mavericks game commentary, that worry starts to make a lot more sense.
When you see the Mavs just play differently without Luka on the floor, he's a guy who's high usage rate, the ball's in his hands. When he's not on the floor, that ball is moving, it's popping, multiple players getting involved in action, and everyone...
You can hear it in Stephanie White's voice. She's not a fan of offenses that revolve around one player, even someone as talented as Luka Doncic. So if she didn't embrace that style for Luka, why would she for Caitlin? Because what we're actually seeing is a system that keeps the ball moving, but doesn't start with Caitlin. It favors structure over improvisation. And that brings us right back to the clip that sparked all this drama. Yes, that press conference happened 9 months ago, and fans were hopeful then. But now that it's back, we can look at all the promises again and see how far off the mark things really are. That clip no longer feels like an out-of-context soundbite. It feels like a broken promise. Fever leadership said they were building around Caitlin Clark, creating a fast, pace-setting offense designed for her, bringing in players who fit that style, and hiring a coach who would deliver the speed and tempo. Now we have to hold them to that. Unless they were lying, and I don't think they were. It looks like they brought in players and a coach they knew, but ones who don't fit what made Caitlin and the Fever successful. That raises a bigger question. If they can't follow through on the vision they sold, can they really build around the most important player in women's basketball? Kelly Kroskoff can talk about building the next Apple all she wants, but Fever fans know the truth. They're not just Fever fans, they're Caitlin Clark fans first. If this leadership strategy fails and Caitlin leaves, the Fever will fall back into dark times with half-empty arenas. Caitlin's fans will follow her wherever she goes. The Apple dream is over. That old press conference just opened a new door, and Fever fans have every right to walk through it and